I've done a survey on spouse selection. Okay, I've done a survey on spouse selection quite a few years ago, just to really find out what are people thinking in terms of selecting a spouse. Okay, so there were 284 people participated, around 50-50 males, females, and 65% were under the age of 34. Okay, so these are the summary of the survey results. So the females, they found their experience of spouse selection more negative than males, okay, because of the style of spouse selection, that females don't have opportunities to propose to males and things like that. The culture doesn't really accept this. So they generally find it a negative experience. More females support the use of online matchmaking than males. Okay, again, because it's safer for them. It's, you know, it's something that they want to explore, and they have an option. It's an option for them. At the moment, there aren't many options available for them. Majority, males and females, they support the idea of attending a workshop for marriage before they get married. So you've decided on your spouse before you go and get married. You enter like a premarital workshop. Okay, so quite a few of them support this. Overwhelming majority believe now it's time to shift culture and accept women proposing to men. So, you know, the idea of, you know, women coming to propose to men, like how Khadija salamullah alayha, she did to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There are narrations that say Amina, the mother of the Prophet, she proposed to Abdullah, the father of the Prophet as well. So, and as I said yesterday as well, when you do the sigha of the nikah, right, it's the woman that is proposing to the man, and the man has to say qabiltu nikah, qabiltu tazweej. Okay, that's it. That's the only thing the man says. But the woman comes and says zawwajtuka nafsi, kada kada, all that stuff. Okay, so the woman proposes to a man in the sigha, in the passage, in the statement when you're doing nikah. So all of this are indicative of it's okay for a woman to propose to a man, but in culture it says no, it's not okay. So people here, people in the survey, they agreed that we should shift the culture. So I just want to show you some of the comments I got. I got huge amounts of comments, but this is some comments from the single brothers. So this is like an Iraqi 25. He said most Iraqi families use their daughters as some kind of stock on stock market and want a good return on investment by making ridiculous demands to young men. So it is true that, I don't know if it's just Iraqi men or Iraqi, parents, but I think now the dowry is ridiculous. They talk about thousands of, you guys, euros, or if we have pounds. They're actually talking now in kilograms of gold, okay? And so the young single man who wants to get married in the sunnah of Allah Rasulah, he has to be a millionaire, okay? And I've seen the very, very ridiculous sums of dowry, where when Fatimat al-Zahra, when Imam Ali salamullah alayhi married Fatimat al-Zahra, you all know what happened. The Prophet asked him, you know, what do you have? He said, I have my shield and my sword. He said, well, you need your sword because of the battles. And your shield, you can sell it. He went and sold his shield for 500 dirhams. And so, for example, my mahar was 500 pounds. Okay? So you change it into your own currency. It's a beautiful thing because you're following the sunnah. Don't tell me again it was 1,100 years ago. Okay, I'm not interested. Okay, still it's a sunnah. The idea of the mahar is just to give a gift. It's just a gift to your wife. So that particular gift is just like a gesture. It's a nice gesture. All right, don't make it ridiculous. Thousands and thousands and thousands. The problem is that the parents are much influencing the decision of the girl. Okay. So this guy seems to be suffering from that particular area. This is a male, 35 to 44, he's Pakistani. He said the whole process of finding a partner is flawed. everyone appears as good, pious girl or boy, prays, fasts, supports the community, respects elders. It's only 12 months after the marriage you truly know what's going on and all the good and bad habits the other has. The process needs a huge overhaul. And that is why I agree with him. And that is why I think, and I said this yesterday and I repeat it, I'm a big supporter of doing temporary marriage before permanent marriage. Okay? But with conditions. There is no intimacy for a whole year. So once you've decided, yes, you want to get married, I say pause. Do temporary marriage for a whole year. Yeah? Go on day trips, get restaurants, cafes, get to know each other a lot for a long, long time. Then you'll start to really find out the good habits and the bad habits. Okay? Because you will practice, you'll see each other a lot. And it's halal. And of course, it has to be in the permission of the father and stuff, but inshallah he can give. But remember, there's no intimacy. So that is a condition. As I said yesterday, the community, the Khoja community do it. Apparently the Afghanis do it and others do it as well. That is one way, honestly, so I think you guys should. I did a show of hands yesterday. Can I see a show of hands from both of you, both males and females, who is in support of doing a temporary marriage before making a final decision? Okay, so it seems like a bit more than 50%. Okay. Finally, this Iraqi guy says, people have unfortunately become materialistic. Yes, sons and daughters need to be protected and secure with finances. However, the requirement they set is pushing people away from marriage. So they're very similar things. Seems like it's an Iraqi thing. I don't know if others find the finances as very difficult, but seems like it is the case here. So from single sisters, Iraqi sister, she says, in my culture it's difficult as it's more in the norm than that the female is approached by a potential male spouse. So we talked about this. So the female cannot approach the male. Only the male approaches the female. She's a bit stuck. She's waiting for someone to come. Okay? And that can prove to be difficult. This one says, the culture is to satisfy my parents, not me really, as I don't care where a man is from, as long as he is well-mannered and a mu'min. See, akhlaq and mu'min. See, she chose these two. And so, yes, as I said also yesterday, there is racism in our cultures. So if a Pakistani wants to marry Iraqi, they say, no, Iraqi has to marry an Iraqi, and etc. Okay? So there is that type of racism going on. And she's obviously been proposed by a non-Iraqi, but her parents have said no. Okay, and they prevented this marriage because where he comes from. Yeah, and we know that some of the imams married non-Arabs. Yes, and that is the case. So anyway, and this Pakistani sister said there is more focus on the superficial aspects and less focus on the values and qualities that would make for a healthy marriage. I've been rejected once for not being white enough, or rather, as it was put, fair-skinned. Twice for being a Sayyida, neither family believed in Sayyid, non-Sayyid marriages. Twice for not being at least 5'6", etc. That took such a long time. But yeah, she's been rejected several times for not being white enough. There is an issue of Sayyida, not Sayyida. I think mostly in Pakistani families they have this Sayyida, not Sayyida issue. I think it's less in other Iraqis and stuff. But still it exists in Iraqi families. And also for her height. She's not being 5'6". Okay? Any comments, questions about these survey? Yes.
Where is this data coming from? The UK?
I did this survey.
You did this?
Yeah, I did the survey.
Like,
most of them UK, yeah. Okay. Most of them UK. Yeah. It was a few years back now. I think around 5 years ago I did it. Any questions? Interesting results, expected results. Yeah. So people are frustrated. I got so many comments. I just chose 3. So many comments of frustrations, of about dowries, about issues of racism, about the issues of women are trapped. They don't know what to do. Yes. Yeah, you're right. But what can we do? I mean, we've got to continue we've got to continuously talk about this in the minbar. Okay, the ulama, the min majalis, we've got to continuously speak about this. We say, look, you come and do lament for Imam Hussein, and you charge, and you say for the person who wants to come and propose to your daughter, thousands of her. Where is this deen? Okay, so that's why people have got their values the other way around. They just don't really understand the true values of Islam.
Which eventually pushes their children away.
Exactly. So if you keep on rejecting, I know families that kept on rejecting people for their daughters, and then their daughters become late 30s and stuff like that, and they just finally just like, yeah, all right, just marry. And then someone who comes in who isn't in that quality, they've been married before and things like that. I don't mean that those who've been married for are not quality, but I mean like, those who were, they probably, they were better deen, they kept on rejecting until later on they found out, why am I? And I think it's actually, especially if it's the father who's rejecting, I think he's got a personal problem. Maybe he was rejected many times before. And so he's trying to practice that with his own daughter. Yeah. So there is a personal issue going on here. It's nothing to do with his daughter, but it's actually a personal problem that he has.
Wouldn't it be good?
And no one is perfect, yeah.
Wouldn't it be good to have coaches or mentors
Yes.
for the family?
Yeah, but they don't. Everyone. I don't know if you know some families, but some families they know it all. It's difficult for you to come and say, for a 50-something-year-old or maybe early 60s, you say, his daughter is like, I don't know, 25, 30 years old, and you come say, look, you need a coach. And that coach is probably 40 years old. Okay? And you say, you need coaching, man. I'm sure, like. There's huge amounts of pride and ego. There's huge amounts of ego and pride. And that is why we keep on saying, look, if you focus on the true values of Islam and look at the Imams and look at the Prophet ﷺ, how they treated people, it all goes back to akhlaq. And when you look at akhlaq, everything else falls into place. When you have that makarim al-akhlaq, the dua of makarim al-akhlaq, if you have that status of high akhlaq, then you live a wonderful world where you are fair with people. But we don't live in a perfect world. We have people who are just manipulated by ego, manipulated by, the me, I stuff. And some people find it's a shame that someone comes and proposes and he's a bus driver, or he's someone who works in a shop, in a grocery shop or something like that. It's a shame for me. How can someone come and propose to my own daughter and he's not in that caliber? We are doctors, we are this, and and some people they take we call it in Arabic sharaf. Especially those people who are tribal. Sometimes they find that they reach a stage where I need someone high status to marry my daughter. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, but you've got to, maybe I agree with you, but not fully, but maybe you've got to look at the circumstances, why they rejected you. So I'll give you my own experience, okay? So I proposed to my wife, my current wife. Yeah, no, she's the only one. Everyone was like, my first wife, actually.
You're making it worse.
Yeah, I just want to see people's reaction. Yeah. So, so I proposed to her in 2002, when you guys were babies. Okay. So in 2002, and I got rejected. I got an R. I got a reject. Okay. And he said, because she's a medical student, she was a medical student, he said, no, she's a student. And then I was doing my PhD in Scotland and stuff like that. So then all the way till 2 years later, two and a half years later, you know, I didn't propose to any other person, okay? And so I thought, my mom called me, I remember once, and then she said, what do you think we go back to her? And I was like, what? He's gonna reject me again. She said, you don't know. Maybe he'll be fine with it. Yeah, so I did propose. It wasn't very easy. It took around 9 months, but it happened. And we've been married since then. In 2005, I got married. So I guess, you know, maybe, you know, if I followed what you were saying, no, don't go back to them. But I did. Yes, yeah, I agree with that. But if the reason is just like racist or things like that, then I know a particular marriage between an Iranian and an Iraqi. So he kept on persisting, the Iranian. He kept on persisting, the father was saying, no, man, just leave us alone. He was like, no, he comes back and he comes back and he comes back. And he said, oh, okay, just take her. Honestly, just take her, man. Khallasni. Is it all right? But then after like 20 years, they divorced.